Colorado voters are starting to return their primary ballots, and they may notice something different color systems. Those colors do not mean it's a way to rig the election. Thanks for joining us at 4. I'm Kim Christensen.
And I'm Phil Lipoff. Each county has a different system for their ballot envelopes that signal something different to an election judge. 9 News political reporter Marshall Zellinger explains why ballot envelopes look the way they do, Marshall.
In Denver County, I have an envelope that's got like a blue candy cane stripe on the side of the envelope. That indicates to Denver election judges that I'm an unaffiliated voter. They need to know that for a very specific purpose. In Arapahoe County, the ballot envelope colors are different. The reason we're doing this story yet again is because conservative former Aurora City Councilwoman Danielle Jurinsky posted on social media pictures of 2 Republican ballot envelopes that are one color and an unaffiliated ballot envelope that's another color, and then in the post asked if certain ballots are being flagged. No, there is not election rigging with color-coded envelopes.
So here we have a selection of all of the different envelope colors that come into play here in Arapahoe County.
In this primary election, each ballot envelope color has a reason.
They tell election officials different things about the voter before their ballot can be processed.
In Arapahoe County, voters who have affiliated with a party will return their ballot in a white envelope. Unaffiliated voters, which make up the majority of voters in Arapahoe County, will return their Republican or Democrat ballot in a teal-colored envelope. The teal color for unaffiliateds is to alert election judges to make sure only one ballot is returned, and so another judge can notate which ballot that voter returned, because that's a public record.
Purple is for my unaffiliateds. My pink is for ones that need ID required.
The ballot envelopes in Weld County have different colors with different meanings, but none of the meanings deal with conspiracy theories, like telling a postal worker which ballots to conveniently lose, or to tell an election worker which ballots not to count.
I have a whole different array of colors than my counterparts in Arapahoe and my counterparts in Larimer and Denver. We all choose very different colors. So that'd be really hard for postmen and women to go through and say, okay, all of these we're not going to do, because they just don't know is within each county what they mean.
And for the every election should require voter ID folks, there's even ballot envelopes color-coded for voters who still need to provide ID.
That means it's a voter who's they're ID deficient. They've never given us an ID that's acceptable for voter registration purposes. We can register them, but they can't participate until they provided a copy of their ID.
So if they get that, they've never had a ballot count before.
Correct. So they've never gone and voted in person, and they've never voted by mail.
There is one county that has an initial on the back of the envelope, U for unaffiliated, but also R for Republican and D for Democrat. It's Ouray County. I spoke with the election director there, and the short answer is it's done that way in that county for the ease of sorting ballots in a small county without the fancy automatic sorting equipment that metro area counties have.
Okay. Some of us don't notice those things, but we need to remember the primaries are done differently here in Colorado, and it is important when they're counting.
Look, what makes it obvious to some voters is if you live in a household where there are different party affiliations, or you have an unaffiliated voter and a party affiliated voter, and then when you receive the ballots and you open it up and you see what you're returning it in, that's when you might notice, why does this one look different than this one? Easy call to a clerk could solve that versus first going to social media instead of going to the clerk, getting the answer, and then not having to involve 50,000 views on social media that then you have to clear up and say, right, well, here's the answer I found, because how many people are going to, of the 50,000 people that saw the original post, how many are going to see the answer?
Right.
There's so much misinformation out there that a story like this is very important to do. So thanks, Marshall.
It's one thing to say, what's the best ice cream in town? But,
right.
And
even
then, there's
media.
lots of disagreement, okay. Ice cream, though, on a beautiful June day sounds really good. This week will bring more heat, so that cone is going to melt quickly. We want to get straight to Chief Weather Impact Team Meteorologist Kathy Sabin with a forecast for us. Today is lovely.
Today's beautiful. It'll be the coolest day of the week. Temperatures in the 70s as we kick off this last full week of spring. Coming up on Sunday, not only Father's Day, but the summer solstice, the start of the summer season. Between now and then, we're turning up the heat. Record high temperatures are possible, an increase in the wind, and yes, elevated fire danger. But today, be beautiful in Denver and along the Front Range. Really spectacular conditions in the mountains as well. So green and pretty up there. 68 in Leadville, 77 in Kremling, and 78 degrees outside the 9 News studio. So this will be the coolest day of the week. Note the humidity values over western Colorado, very low, while we have northeast winds kind of ramping our numbers up just a little bit temporarily. We're seeing the winds pick up a bit outside of Aurora, DIA, and Centennial, but all of the fire weather warnings for today are over western Colorado. Tomorrow, this fire weather warning will be replaced by a fire weather watch. As of this newscast, Denver not included in that. We're also tracking a couple of thunderstorms in southeastern Colorado that have the potential for lightning, wind, and also hail. We've had a couple of thunderstorms kind of track northwest to southeast. One went severe near Trinidad. That has dropped south of Raton Pass now. So kind of keeping an eye on southeastern Colorado. But all the impactful weather that will really impact travel outside of Colorado is in the northern Plains states and the Midwest. So coming up in weather in just a little bit, we're going to talk about high temperatures close to 100 degrees as we say goodbye to spring and hello to summer.
Kathy, thank you. A clinic reopened today in Evergreen. It was closed for months after a shooting there. It happened back in February at Common Spirit Primary Care Center. A former patient fired more than a dozen rounds into equipment, into doors, walls before taking his own life. No one else was hurt. Today, the clinic reopened with a blessing and expression of gratitude that none of their team members lost their lives that day.
In the aftermath, we have seen the best of humanity. First responders, staff, patients, and community members coming together with courage, compassion, and care. This reopening is more than a return to routine. It is a declaration of hope.
Officials at the clinic say they are reopening with enhanced security measures, and that includes new badge readers, bullet-resistant glass, and a new surveillance system with new security cameras.
California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom said today President Trump has ordered the Justice Department to investigate him and his wife.
In recent days, federal agents have knocked on the doors of family, friends, and former employees. Not because they found a crime, because they're simply trying to find one. They're demanding records.
Newsom posted this video on social media where he accuses President Trump of targeting him as part of a personal vendetta against a political enemy. Newsom, a Democrat, is a potential 2028 presidential contender and a frequent critic of the president. He did not say what the DOJ is investigating, only that he and his wife have nothing to hide. The Justice Department declined to comment.
The U.S. and Iran have apparently reached an agreement to end the war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. A senior U.S. official says President Trump and Iran's parliament speaker have already signed the agreement virtually. A formal signing ceremony is expected to take place in Geneva on Friday after the president is done attending the G7 summit in France for the rest of this week. The details have not yet been released, but the president said today ships are already moving through the strait.
The Strait of Hormuz is expected to fully reopen by Friday, and as a result, stocks surged today. The Dow started the day up more than 600 points, while the S&P 500 and NASDAQ also rose sharply. All three markets closed up this afternoon. This comes as oil prices plummeted to their lowest levels since March. Crude oil prices are still higher than before when the U.S. and Israel attacked Iran in late February. Analysts say it could take months for them to return to pre-war levels.